Today we'll talk about crazy people stealing other people's portfolios. Welcome to Tattoo Shop Talk, which is sort of weekly web show where we discuss tattoo shop related stuff, stories, tips and tricks, and sometimes longer chit chats and conversations like this. So stick around.
And don't forget to use condoms.
Exciting story from my side. There was this situation with the previous place where I used to work, which doesn't exist anymore. But still, story comes from that place, and I first noticed on a tattoo convention that they were advertising that we have this new piercer and we do body modifications and scarifications and those pointy ears and shit. If they can actually do it, that's like some next level stuff. But I had my doubts, and I did reverse image search, and it all came up from very well-known practitioners, so none of those pictures were theirs. Okay, maybe that's like owner who doesn't know what's going on and he posted those pictures. Maybe it's not the piercer's fault, but the more we live in the same city, you hear this and that and this and that. And then one day somebody was interested in scarifications, and I used to do that, and they're like, can you do this and that? And I was like, well, let's have a consultation first. So the lady came by, I'll show works what I've done. I said, if you're interested, think about it and come back and we talk. And then she came back and she's like, actually, all those works that you showed me, I was at the previous place. She named the place, which was the shop where I used to work. She said the person working there was basically working around with my portfolio and being like, I can do this, I can do that.
And she didn't even know you? Or she knew you?
She's been into this shop and talked to us. And
did she even recognize that it's...
I don't know.
She just like saw the portfolio laying there and like, oh, I will use it.
Yeah, and then we talked and we kind of came up to this conclusion that that person have no idea what's going on. She kind of figured out that I'm gonna be this piercer body mod person, and like, you know, we're talking piercing, scarifications, and but she went into all like crazy stuff. She's like, I can inject and cut people and whatnot.
I see money making. Sometimes it's just lack of understanding how things work, right? It's and
the rumor was that she's one of those compulsive liar type of things.
Oh,
and then one girl from that shop showed few scratches on her palm, and she's like, oh yeah, she talked me with all these smart talk into like getting like a scarification on the palm. And that's like, you like scarification pros don't do that. And she's just like, let me chop you up, I know what I'm doing. Yeah, that's insane. But I was like, you know, I don't care. It's like,
well, that's how it is, you know.
Yeah, you do you. I'm not gonna go and confront somebody or anything. And it's like, I'm sure she's not capable of doing it. So if you signed up for it,
that's fucked up.
And then I talked to somebody who was working there, and they said that she was fired, and she was fired from a bunch of places around for too much smart talk. And then she moved to the next city, but grabbed with her portfolio from a girl working in the shop as a tattooist. And now she's jumped to the next city where she walks around tattoo shops with other person's work and showing it as her own, and now she's a tattooist. I don't care that it affected like things what I've done, but it's just crazy that person goes into things without knowing anything. And like, what's the mindset is like, are you gonna fake it till you make it by cutting people, or like...
Yeah, it's just like, it's fucking mental. It's with no responsibility.
Yeah, and if it's a quick cash grab, I mean, we have people coming here complaining about piercings that were done not the way they expected. So like, if you're messing up stuff with piercings, then talking about injections and pointing ears, that's some like next level shit. Like, it's rare on a global, worldwide thing, and then there's one person just like, oh yeah, I know everything, I can cut, and like claiming that she's somewhat almost
there medical. Must be a lot of people like that in all around the world, like who just go in and...
Like, I heard about it, but now this was kind of like in my personal experience, and I'm like, that's crazy. Yeah, that's crazy.
I mean, like, there is a lot of people talking about who are you to judge, you know, and there is always people who starts at some point in somewhere, and not always the beginning is the most beautiful time of your career, you know. Still, you have to understand that you can harm someone's like health, and you can actually do damage.
That girl who came here, she was super upset. She was angry. She's like, she was bullshitting me, like, you know.
Yeah, this is another thing. We've been talking about like sometimes it's customer's fault that you don't do a proper research before you go to the shop and make your choice, you know. There is also these scammer people.
Yeah,
Scam people.
I heard from some shop there was a situation where person did all the things on a paper, checked reviews, checked portfolio, went to the shop, got a super shit tattoo, came back to complain. Turned out that person lied itself in with somebody else's portfolios, kind of like, you know, generic internet pictures. And yeah, so damage was done. And like with reviews, you can bet that most of the good ones are by friends or something, and then the bad ones, that's where you have to be somewhat critic and decide if is it just pure hate because something didn't go one way, or there's actually some coverage. So it's tricky now to choose.
But how can you actually tell if it's someone you can trust? I know that I heard the stories where girls go and make injections in the lips to make lips bigger. You can actually somehow tell if it's a proper place or not by all these certificates, but
yeah, those certificates are sketchy.
They are sketchy. Like how can you recognize if it's true or not?
Because often that certificate is like certificate of attendance to some course. It doesn't mean that you're good. You just been there.
Yeah.
And now you may be allowed to sell their products and whatnot. The same with tattooing. There's now.
The same with tattooing. The same with tattooing. The country where I am from, there is some.
Where this T-shirt comes from, actually available. DM Carlos.
I'll get more. So stay tuned. You can order them online in the near future. There is also about tattooing in Latvia. There is some shops that they just open. The shop, the guys are with not many years experience, like 2, 3, 4 years experience. And they are not as good tattooers, like from what I see, from the quality wise and whatnot. And they just open tattoo schools and teach people how to tattoo. And what I heard that it's like 2-day sessions or whatever. People just stand and look what you should do or what not. But basically the story is that these people who open the schools, they have no understanding how things work, and they just charge a crazy amount of money and give you these printed out certificates. After you're done, you're still the same shitty tattooer. Like, you don't learn anything. This all happens because it's getting more and more popular. And there is no proper regulations anywhere. Like, people just take advantage of this. And
yeah, I mean, like if we're talking how to choose one, then I think it's you have to be sure that you get to the recommended shop and to the recommended person. Because let's say I worked in a shop for 4 years and people know that you can get like decent piercing there. So you go to the place, but actually there's other person running around with the other person's portfolio and being like, oh, I can do this.
But imagine a person who's never been into it and he does not know anybody who is into it. It's like
super hard.
So you're gonna write on Google like good tattoos or whatever, and everything you're gonna see is just this crap coming out, usually. And I think one of the reasons like a lot of good tattooers don't like to advertise their stuff as much as these creepy cheap ones. I really think
also,
so.
it's just it's full of shit. So,
more shit than a good one,
so
right?
You don't
like,
want to be there.
Yeah, I
teach
think
now.
it's more
That
crazy.
person was actually also, like, from what I heard, demanding money because she was just starting to work there, but she had like a bunch of piercing apprentices, and she was demanding to get paid to teach those people, even though from what it looks like she had just an imaginary understanding of it's like a cosplay type of a thing. I'll be a LARP piercing now.
Yeah, I mean, there will always be people like this. Even if there is a regulation, I believe there will be always underground some people fucking doing these weird things on their friends, on whatever. I remember when I just started tattooing, I was tattooing my friends, and man, I did like terrible work for first month. When I was just starting tattooing, no one explained me what to do. And I remember a lot of people got upset. But if we talk about tattooing and comparing that to like scarification, where you like cut out piece of fucking flesh and shit, that's like next level. I think it's even more crazy. It's still crazy when people do that, but like I'm just sad about those who get these bad works done on themselves, you know.
Luckily, there was not many, from what I understand.
Yeah, I hope so. But it's just like when you hear these stories and shitty tattoo shops give a school for beginners, you know, and teach them some weird manners, that doesn't work. And they rip off the money. So like, what can you do about it? Like, do you make some regulations where you can like, okay, you can tell like this shop is able to school you, or what is the option, you know?
Well, let's flip that to the viewers. What do you think? How do you choose your practitioners? How you decide which one is good, which one is bad, and should it be regulated? And maybe you have some crazy stories from your area where somebody faked it till they make it, or faked it till they messed things up. Yeah. So yeah, share that with us and
be careful and don't fucking fall into some cheap ass shit. Especially like tattoo schools. Like for right now on this fucking planet, there is no big thing as a tattoo schools unless you get a proper apprenticeship with
just
tattooers.
Like a money grab tattoo.
Yeah. Like you have to be really careful because like these tattoo schools and whatnot, especially from the shops you never heard about it. Like
I mean, we're talking 2020 beginning, so maybe there will be one in a close future, or there will be some regulations. But at the moment, it's all very sketchy.
Yeah, be careful and
like, subscribe, and see you in a future episode.